Salute discipli and salute omnes. Welcome again to another episode of Latin and Layman's, of which it's been a while. Welcome you back. We're going to be etymologizing the Latin word nomen, which refers to name. If you were to go ahead and say an idiomatic phrase in Latin back in the day, if you wanted to say my name is, you would say mihi nomen est, and in this case, blankety blank your name, aka mihi nomen est Liam or Mr. Connerly. Or you could just say meus nomen est Liam, dependent on the gender of the word. Us, masculine, feminine, if you're gender non-binary or whatever, because we are in 2024. However, we're not talking about, though. We're talking about just these words and these derivatives from said nomen. So let's get on into it. I got Latin and Layman's. I haven't really been plugging it much, but you can go check me out on YouTube as well. All right. I haven't been doing much on my podcast, but I'll get back into it here shortly. We'll see. That being said, let's go ahead and look at the first one, nominate. Well, when we nominate, it's the action of naming, because 8 is that English suffixification referring to the action of naming. And in this case, well, when you nominate someone, you put them in a categorical place. For instance, you give them that name where they are there adhered to, essentially. That being said, nom de plume is going to be a French derivation. It's a term that refers to the pen name of an individual. So a lot of the time, especially women back in the day, they couldn't just author something and then go ahead and say like, oh, my name is Julia, right? Because women weren't afforded the same luxury as men back in the day. So you know what? I think it's very, very much time that these girls start, showing up all these guys. We're all talking about how women are making much more of a presence in the college realm. I love it because that's the case. They're smarter, their prefrontal cortex is formed faster, and it's the reason why us men have way higher car insurance rates, as well as, well, we're just kind of problematic as pubescent boys all the way up into our late 20s, really. That being said, though, that was a little bit of a ramble. Nomenclature. Nomen meaning name. Clature coming from callo, callatum in the Latin, meaning call or classification. So it's a calling of a name system, essentially, right? Nomenclature is the classification of naming, essentially, right? We have nomenclature in anatomy, physiology. We also have nomenclature in Latin, like nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. Those are all nomenclatures that are adhered to that particular discipline. You can find those cases in other languages, but not very many. That's a nomenclature system. Denominator, however, our last one here. D meaning down from, nomen, the name. Oddly enough, denominator just refers you down from the name, and the denominator is the part of the fraction that is below the line. So I don't know. Sometimes the suffixification, the etymologizing of such doesn't make a huge lot of sense, but sometimes it's more intuitive, like things like nomenclature, the naming system, classification of a naming system. Hope you learned something new, and if you did, would really appreciate some support wherever you can find me. Thanks again. Tempus est discedere.